Hi Vivek, welcome. So tell us, what's the big dream for Planet?
So our vision is to build out the largest hazelnut operation globally. It's a sector that has not been heavily invested in, and it's one that's not known about from an agricultural perspective because it's a small part of the global industry. We're strongly using a lot of regenerative practices, so we're going to have a pretty big environmental impact on, particularly on carbon, biodiversity, and greenhouse gases. And it's secured by essentially a long-term off-taker that is giving us a 15-year agreement based on the strength of the business that we've developed.
Why hazelnuts?
2013, I visited a bunch of ag techs, but then led to visiting farms actually in California where I saw how permanent crops, that's citruses, almonds, other nut groups, are grown and developed. And what I saw there was this amazing ability to apply resources, scale, modern management techniques, and have amazing cash flows at the end of that project. So that idea stuck in my head. And a few years later, I was in Europe looking around for what could be done to do something similar when I understood that Ferrero Rocher, the chocolate company, was offering long-term offtake agreements. And basically the one problem when I learned agriculture was when you have crops, the price is low because everybody else has got the crops. When you don't have crops, the price is high, but you're a farmer, so you can't benefit. So with the Ferrero contract, which was innovative for its time and it's still quite difficult to replicate, offers us a 15-year offtake agreement at a fixed cost plus price. So we essentially know what we're going to get paid, minimizing a lot of the risks that come with agriculture.
Vivek, where are you looking at basically doing this?
Italy produces 10% of the hazelnuts because the world is a traditional leader in that, and it's the second largest producer globally. So we're focused in Italy.
What was the proof of concept and where are you today?
So we went out and bought 65 hectares in Italy and essentially had the plans and let's see what happens now.
Yeah.
And a year later, we're like, oh, okay, broadly what people have told us is correct. This is under control. The trees are, of course, some learnings, but things are working. And so at that point, we basically said, okay, let's go out and raise it because we had our first year proof of concept, even if we haven't yet had the harvest. And as we did that, we started to speak to some players in the sector. And during their diligence as agricultural investors and what we had done, we realized, hey, wait a second, this is actually ticking all the right boxes, even if we haven't formally executed as an agricultural investment group. And that's given us the confidence to essentially raise a bit of outside capital last year. And that's brought us to 250 hectares of sort of planting in 18 months, which is about the size of Hyde Park. So it's fairly large. And we are now, having a number of inbound institutions come in, as large pension funds and large agricultural funds come in.
You take us to the economics now of what you're doing and how you're looking to scale it up. The same model and how can people come in. So I think we break it into two parts, right? So let's say, what are you basically looking at, and then we'll break it down. If you were to look at maybe, let's say, a hectare for now, let's think of it, a hectare as a coin of investment and so on. So we can go from there. I think that's one of the easiest way to understand, right? It's kind of ownership of a hectare.
Yeah. So if you do a new planting, right? And let's say you're going to look at 10 years of that, a life of that. So you go out, you buy a hectare for 25,000 euro. You add 15,000 euro of cost year one, and probably another 5,000, 6,000 euro of cost in the next couple of years as it becomes production. In years 4 to 5, it starts to yield above cost, and you start to gain a return on that dividend. Over time, those trees keep on growing, and by the end of year 10, you're probably looking at 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 of yield per annum on the tree itself. Okay, 20-30% dividend return on equity. At the same time, if you then go sell that piece of land in year 10 to an agricultural fund or pension fund, you probably sell it between 85,000 euros per hectare, which is still lower than they might buy an equivalent piece of land in the US for.
What are you looking for now? Let's say in this phase, is it to basically go from now to 650, 850 hectares? That's the goal, from going from 250 to 3x?
So the 250 is essentially done. So we are now looking at getting to about 1,000 hectares sort of in the course of next year, and then to get up to 1,500 with Ferrero.
How are you going to structure, let's say, something for, let's say, the YPO, a network we have?
We're just currently fundraising right now because we want to continue to grow. We have a classical sort of 2 in 20 structure, which is for normal investors. With YPOs, we'll obviously discount that to a nice amount to make it interesting and have smart people around the table.
At this point, is there a minimum check size you're looking at as well?
I'd be around 250,000.
Well, thanks so much for taking out time for us and sharing this opportunity.